this, and you'll get there. If I could, but see, you got family situation, you got stress on your job, and all these times, and see, stress is number one pull from your energy, and digestion slows down when you're under stress, no matter what you're eating. The only thing you should really eat when you're under stress is fruit. But then that would stress a lot of people. That's all they could eat when they're under stress. But as far as your digestive system, that's all your body can really process is fruit when you're under stress. Maybe a vegetable or a raw vegetable salad if you didn't put all that dressing, that good tasting dressing, that good commercial embalmed, sweet, overcooked, rancid oil dressing. If you could just do it. But when you're under stress, your digestion as well as your elimination system slows way down. And it's not easy. I'm not blaming and criticizing anybody. With the world mindset and all the advertisements being done and the way our government's running a bankrupt economy where we have to work so many hours just to make ends meet and even can't do it then. There's a lot of pressure on us. And you don't need another one for me, right? About don't eat this, that type of thing. I think you got the picture. And I appreciate that. And I'm nobody's judge. And I could look at you eating a pizza and love you just the same as I'd love you if you didn't eat a pizza. Okay? I'm not your judge. My goal is to give you enough information and knowledge that you can make decisions with that will help your body get that 120 years. Because, when you just get past 60, I just hit the 50 mark. You just get past 60, you're just beginning to figure some things out. That's not the time for this old body to wear out. And who wants to even think about getting senile? And, because a lot of times memories is all we got, and then that's gone, what do you got, So that's no fun at all. So the brain needs some good raw materials to keep it active and alive. And most of us aren't using 10% of our brain capacity. And it's because it's full of pizzas. That's right. It just don't have enough of this. It doesn't have enough of this good quality food that we've been talking about, so that the cells in your brain can be really utilized like they should, and do the job that they should be doing. So that's kind of how our body processes it. We've qualified what foods are, what the purpose of foods is, and how it's processed on it. A few side things here. It's very important to get good combinations of foods. You want 70 to 80% of your meal should be fruits or vegetables, non-starchy vegetables. Now, why do I suggest that? It's because that requires the least amount of energy to break those down. Why do I stress that you eat meat? When you do eat meat, eat it first and then the salad, like they do in Europe. Why don't they do it the same way here? Why do you think they feed you the salad first? Any guesses? Huh? Exactly right. It's just a matter of convenience. We're so in a hurry. We're anxious. We're always busy. We ain't got time to wait for nothing. If you had to wait for that meat, you'd go bonkers, And they'd lose business. So they don't keep you doing something. But see, meat requires, you don't digest meat, you just dissolve it. Meat, the cow's half dead when they kill it. Then they kill it, then they freeze it to death, and then you cook it. So you think it's very alive? did already. You know? But when you eat meat, when it comes into the stomach, it just dissolves. That acid just dissolves it. So what if you put that salad in there first? It's alkaline. See, your salad's very alkaline food. It's going to absorb that acid, and there's not going to be enough for your meat to break down good. So that's why you want to eat the meat first. Now, meat takes 4 hours to digest. So you want to eat it between 12 and 2. If you eat it at 5 or 6, it's going to take 8 hours to digest it. Because our digestive system is at its peak performance when the sun is closest to us during the day. Okay? And as the sun's moving away like it is right now, your digestive juices for the stomach and from the bile are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. They're shutting down to get recharged up for the next day. And so you want to not eat meat late, because you're going to be working on that all night and it's still not going to get done, broken down to where your body can use it. You want to be done eating by 7 with the time change the way it is, 6 in the wintertime, in the summertime 7 o'clock. Because it takes 2 or 3 times longer to digest your foods after that time. That interferes with your rest, and you're not getting anything out of your food. Fruits is all you should have in the morning. You shouldn't eat a heavy breakfast. You interfere with your cleaning cycle, and your food can't be digested. As the sun's coming closer and closer, your digestion's improving and getting better, but it's not up to par when you get up in the morning. So it's going to take all morning, most of the afternoon, to digest that breakfast of cereal or bread or toast or eggs or whatever. So you shouldn't eat a main meal for breakfast. It should be mostly water and just fruit, because that's your cleaning time. That's when your body's cleaning out things. It starts at 2 while you're asleep, and when you start getting up, then it starts dumping things out. We need that extra water to help that. And some fruit during that time is even more helpful. Okay? So eating the foods at the right time is very important, because our digestive system works according to a clock. And the clock is the rotation of the earth around the sun. And day and night. During the day our cells are activated. At night they shut down to rest up, to recharge. And your digestive system is no different than the rest of your body. So you've got to give it that time of rest. And if you put a bunch of food down there, then it's not going to be able to rest, and you're going to wake up like you've been working all night. And the body has to find some warehousing. Okay? To dump it if it can't compact it and get it out. So we need foods, good foods, but we got to eat at the right time and not overeat it. And you should have a light meal at night. And if you're a real stressful job, you should consider even fasting that evening meal. Again, all we need is enough raw materials to supply the body what it needs to replace the cells when they wear out. You do not need to eat. When you start eating the right foods, chewing it good, mixing it with the saliva, and eating at the right time and the right ratio, you're going to find that you can operate on 1/3 of the food that you're eating now, or cut it down by 2/3, and get all the nutrition that your cells need to replace them when they wear out. And you can enjoy it just as long as you ate all that extra food. You should be able to let one raisin stay in your mouth 1 minute and enjoy that raisin 1 minute. Some people can put a box of raisins down in a minute. Well, you get the same sweetness out of that one raisin for a minute as you were getting from chucking all those raisins down in the 1 minute. You see what I'm saying? So you can enjoy a little bit of that good food by masticating and letting the joys of those flavors come out in a longer period of time and get as much nutrition with less money for the food and less time for digestion and elimination. And that's what we got to work on. You want to get the most nutrition for your money. A lot of people say, well, Don, this eating right and everything is really costing me. You know? It's really costing me so much money to eat this good stuff. I mean, and to get it organic with all these sprays on there and stuff, this stuff is just really expensive. Well, that's true if you eat the same amount you're used to eating before you start eating right. But see, you can afford to get better quality foods because you're going to be eating less. And that's what you want to look at. You have even enough left over for some supplementation, some good supplementation to build up some reserves with. So you can get your body trained and disciplined to where you can live on very small amount of food every day, and we're going to have to learn how to do that because this whole earth's wearing out. And a lot of these foods, they look nice and formed, but when I measure what's in there, it's hardly nothing. It's empty foods. They look good on the outside, but it's dead inside. The ground's wearing out. We're depleting our minerals in the soil. And we got 2 days' supply of food if they're in a famine hit, you know? So we're going to have to train these bodies to do with a lot less anyways, or you're going to be shocked into doing with less. A lot of people, if they had to stop eating what they're used to eating, they go through such a withdrawal they probably die just from the withdrawal, not because they're starving, but because of the waste and the withdrawal that they go through getting off of not being able to eat those stimulating foods. So we want to train and discipline our body to eat a lot less. And it's cheaper, it really is, and you can get good quality stuff at the same time. But these are some of the things we're going to have to work on as it relates to foods before our body will be able to do that. Okay? So now is there any questions? Yes?
I've got a series of questions
Okay.
that I'd like to ask you. You can answer them very shortly.
All right.
Is it a fair statement to say that cooked food causes degenerative diseases?
Yeah, as I said earlier, anything comes from a seed that's been cooked over 120 degrees is dead. So the body gets nothing from it that it can put into the bank. So all it does is uses a food compactor, which then takes energy from the body just to get it out and to clean it. Now it's when the body can't clean out those dead foods that it gets stored. And wherever it stores, that's when it begins to cause weakness, sickness, and disease.
Second point, do we get much live enzymes from salads and, say, slaws?
Yeah, again, from the salads and slaws, as long as you haven't added some little doctoring up, you know. Like a lot of times people put mayonnaise into slaw. What's in mayonnaise?
Eggs, salt, and all that.
So see, if you add preservatives to the slaw or the salad through that's dressing, then you're going to interfere with digestion, which is going to end up robbing the bank.
Do we really need to go to juicing to get the amount of enzymes that we really need for?
Well, juicing is a way to bypass the chewing. Okay, and that's a big factor. And also, when it gets into the stomach, it has to break that nutrients away from the fiber, and that takes a lot of work to do that. So if a person's digestive system is not working good, that's the best way to get your nutrients, is in that form. A lot of people, as I was talking about earlier on the processing of your foods. A lot of people think when they have juices or soups, they're not getting any nutrition. Where's the bulk, Don? I'm not getting any bulk. And so we think, when I'm not getting anything solid and bulky, I'm starving myself. I'm not getting anything that sticks to the ribs. If it sticks to the ribs, it sticks to the hips. It sticks there too, see? But see, as I said, remember, your food comes into the stomach. It's turned to a liquid with strong acid juices. Then the bile comes and mixes with it. That's liquid. And then the nutrients are brought into a vapor form and go into the duodenum, out through the duodenum, into the bloodstream to the liver. All the hard and heavy stuff, all the solid part, is going out through the colon. Why not take it out through the juicer and forget to going through the colon? Why not put it in a soup, boil the water and boil the food in water, because water won't get over 120 degrees, right? Don't throw the water away. That's what people used to always do. They cook their foods in water, throw the water away, and eat the food. It's dead. All the goodies came out in the water. You should have drank the water and throw the rest away. Then you save your colon a little work. But this idea, we got to get bulk. See, your body has to separate all the goodies out of that bulk, and what's left over goes out through the colon. So juicing is just a good way to kind of save some steps there. And when you have very poor digestion, like people with cancer, stomach ulcers, poor liver or gallbladder, that's a good way to get your nutrition. It's hard to convince people of that, though. Yeah, go ahead.
The final point is, would you tell us specifically what foods that probably no one should ever eat?
There's not a food that no one should ever not eat.
Let me rephrase it.
That's food with a qualification.
That's pizza.
Tell us the things that we
Peanut
probably
butter.
shouldn't eat that when people think of as food. As an example, maybe pork.
Well, pork comes from a seed, right? Pig comes from a seed, right? What's wrong with the pig?
High in acid.
Well, it's a scavenger.
It ate garbage.
Yeah, it eats its own waste. So there's certain things that do come from seed that the Bible talks about that we shouldn't put in our body, and the reason is because they're scavengers, they're house cleaners. You should never put mushrooms in your body. Now, mushrooms grow on healthy horse manure. In fact, it's some of the most expensive stuff you can get. You got a racetrack right here. But mushrooms is not a seed food. It's not a seed. It's a spore. It's a scavenger plant. It feeds on waste. So if you want to put a little bit more waste in you, that'll be one way you can do it. So mushrooms is one of the things you want to avoid. And then the other thing has to do more with processing and how you cook it, how you prepare it. Of course, salt, you should never use salt because it's inorganic. You need to understand, because you're going to read a lot of things in the health field about sea salt, and don't drink distilled water because it's got the salt taken out of it and stuff like that. Remember, there's a mindset that life spontaneously came into being without a creator. It just happened by chance. And we just evolved into different species and so on. And one of the things that we evolved from was the sea. And seawater is just like our blood, very close to our blood. You'll find the same minerals in sea that are in the sea, you'll find it in the blood. We need those minerals. Now, the only thing about that's right, there's not anything about that is right, except, yes, there are those minerals in our blood. But they're byproducts, they're waste products. They're They're the burnout minerals from our burnout cells as your body's going through its chemical reactions. It's an elimination. It's being eliminated. We don't put it into our body. It doesn't feed our body, but it's the breakdown as our body goes through its regular chemical reactions. But they're sincere. And a lot of it's more of a religion than it is, there's nothing scientific at all. In fact, all the proof shows that you can't live on seawater. All the minerals are in seawater. Why eat food if you could live on seawater? But you can't. It'll kill you. Can't do it. And you'll find some water companies putting minerals back into the still water because this is a big mindset. But we do not get any nutrition that our body can use if it does not come from a seed. So I said earlier, sea, S-E-A. From the sea, those minerals we can't get. Now seaweed, if you get the sea salt off of it and wash the water off, that is a plant. That comes from a seed. But sea salt is one of your biggest enemies. It embalms you. It interferes with oxygen. It swells you up. It just overloads your system and obstructs it. And so that's probably one of the worst substances you can put in. There's 78 different kinds of salts. So it's not just sodium chloride. It's those funny little names you read when you read the ingredient list on foods. So don't be fooled by no salt. They'll say this is a no salt product. They mean no sodium chloride, but it's got all these other salts in there. So don't be fooled by that, okay? So those are probably that. In the scavenger meats, most of your nuts that have been roasted, those are some of the worst things that you can put into your body. Of course, most all of these oils. Cottage cheese is just nothing but, it's got a little bit of milk solids in it, but cottage cheese is almost all synthetic. Most all your cheeses, especially the ones that just run, they put on the broccoli that makes it taste good, and without it, ew. But with, okay, that's more like it. And I just breaks my heart to see that those kids are putting that cheese down there. And then mom and dad wonder why they're unmanageable. And they can't think, and they can't concentrate, and they can't study, and they can't make decisions, and they can't be obedient with all that cheese hyper in them, So the cheeses are bad. Cottage cheese and cheeses and a lot of these these butter substitutes and stuff like that. They do not come from a seed. So all they do is embalm you, clog you up, obstruct you.
What about yogurt?
Most of the yogurt on the market's worthless. It's got to be plain. It's all right if it's pasteurized a little bit because you got to heat it up anyways to curdle it. But most of the yogurt's got even vanilla. They got sugar mixed in with the vanilla, so they don't have to put sugar on the ingredient list. Another thing you need to be aware of on foods, like for example, they got raw honey in the grocery store. They give them a tolerance of 10 to 20% junk in there and still call it 100% raw. In other words, they can put 10% sugar in there, just plain old sugar, and still call it 100% raw. So don't be fooled by 100% natural or 100% organic. Natural sand is natural. The oil that you put in your crankcase is natural. And most of these oils in your foods are natural, but they're not foods. Sand is not a food. It does not come from seed. It is natural. So all foods are natural, but not all natural things are foods. The same thing, another thing about organic. There's a lot of things. All foods are organic, which means it has carbon. All foods that come from a seed have carbon. But not all organics that have carbon are foods. Again, all your gasoline has carbon. Are you going to eat gasoline or drink gasoline? So just some people have got away with calling their fields organic, and what they come to find out is that they just dumped a little gasoline from the tractor, and that's why they called it organic. See, probably 70% of the drugs on the market are organic because they have carbon. A lot of your synthetic vitamins, almost 95% of the vitamins and minerals that are in the health food stores are organic, and they're natural, but they don't come from a seed. So they don't qualify as foods. So that's another thing you're going to have to look at. See, a lot of times you read these little magazines and say, boy, these are so much cheaper. Well, sure, if you're going to make them in the laboratory. As a biochemist, I can go in the laboratory and make just about any of those minerals that they got in the health food store. Very cheap. But I can't make them the way our Creator made them. I can't put it together in a way that it's put together in these foods that come from seeds that our Creator made so that our body can assimilate it and process them and use them. I can't do that. And no man can do that. And to me, we're trying to play God when we try to do it. And yet we're trying to copy what our Creator did, but we're not doing it. And you can take handfuls of vitamins and minerals, and all you're going to do is get a stomach ulcer. It'll just eat right through you. Yes?
I'm determined. I'm not sure if I'm drawing out whether I'm getting too deep or what. But you grow your own food. Now, can you tell me what is the best way to process my own food that it can take me through the winter as opposed to buying it from someone else and putting out the bugs?
Okay, you're talking about how to preserve your food
So I'm saying
without losing the nutrition.
All right, so I say I steam it.
That's when you're
no
eating
problem when you're eating. But what about if I want this for later use?
it.
Now,
Okay, there's different ways. The ideal way to preserve your food is dehydration. It takes the least amount of space. Everybody ought to get these little dehydrators. You can do a whole bushel of tomatoes and put it in just a little pint jar. Okay? And just reconstitute. In other words, you can get all the nutrition in a bushel of tomatoes. All you're doing is just taking the water out. See, when you take the water out of the food, it stops oxidizing. It can't spoil it can't spoil at all once you get the water out of it because you deactivated the enzymes. And until you add the water back in, the enzymes won't get activated again to start the digestion process. So the best way to preserve your foods is dehydrate them.
I guess preserve is wrong. I just want to know how
Well, that's how you do it.
to.
The other way is freezing,
Okay.
would be the next best way. But you don't want to blanch them a lot when you freeze them.
Would you not recommend this like a short steaming process and then freezing?
Well, steaming is getting pretty close to that point. Probably if you could steam it, you'd be okay. Yeah, not any more than that. A lot of them blanch it at high temperatures to oxidize it, yeah. But when you're thinking about freezing, you're talking about using that food up that